Now, Madam Speaker, I talked a little bit about education and engaging people. One of the concerns that I do want to talk about today, and I'm going to take this moment during the throne speech to address it. Both myself, the member from Lancaster, the member from St. John East, and our education critic have attended many of the DEC meetings at the local level in St. John over the last number of weeks. And there is currently a 409 process underway that involves 7 schools in the greater St. John area, in the central part of the city. And I want to continue along these lines of working together and building consensus and having legitimate, thoughtful, and properly facilitated consultation where we can all work together to build a better community. Now, the District Education Council, Madam Speaker, has presented a proposal to the community in St. John that is based on an Ernst & Young report that has laid out options. Now, the District Education Council gave Ernst & Young a series of guidelines going into that. There is growing concern in our community that those guidelines don't take into consideration educational outcomes. They don't take into consideration very unique needs of the St. John area. People with disabilities, students with disabilities, some of the poverty-related issues that we have in St. John. None of that was taken into consideration in the guidelines that were given to Ernst & Young. Now, all 7 preliminary meetings have taken place up until this point. And it was certainly my intention that I would attend as many of those meetings as I could, and I have attended 6 of the 7. And my intention going into that process was to sit, listen to what the District Education Council was recommending, and then make my decision when that was over. My concern, now that we've gone through those 7 consultation meetings, and it's the concern of many of the parents and taxpayers in the St. John area, that the guidelines that were given to Ernst & Young were not based on community input, and what the members in the area from our side had consistently asked for throughout this process is why could we not have had a thoughtful, community-wide, properly facilitated process like I've been talking about here over the last few moments in this House, where we engage the community, we look at the educational outcomes that are needed, we look at the challenges that we have in the greater St. John area, and then we build a series of guidelines, a set of guidelines, based on that community input, and then hire a firm like Ernst & Young or whoever to build a plan based on guidelines that were established by the community. And then at that time, if you have to initiate a 409 process because that community engagement has determined that certain buildings might have to close, nobody in the community, I don't think, believes that we can keep the status quo for the sake of the status quo. We know that we need to modernize. We know that things need to change. But that has to be built on a plan that makes sense, a plan that has widespread community engagement. 7 schools are involved in this. One of the questions that one of the parents asked throughout that process is, have we ever taken on something this big that takes in an entire inner city community like we're talking about here? And the reality is no. We need a different process. We need one that is community-led, properly facilitated, and so that we can build a roadmap that's owned by the people of that community. Just like I was talking about a few moments ago with respect to poverty reduction and the plan that we built there. A plan that when the government changes, it doesn't change. Because it wasn't built by a government, it was built by people in New Brunswick. I'm a big believer that communities aren't created in Ottawa and Fredericton. They're created in small communities. Communities are real with real people in them. In my riding, there's neighborhoods like Milledgeville and Crescent Valley and the Old North End and the Moreland Park and Silver Falls. Those are real communities with real people, and they've got ideas, and we need to engage them. We need to engage them so that we can build a plan going forward. And specifically, with respect to this current proposal from the District Education Council, Madam Speaker, we need to build a community-led plan based on guidelines that the community has set. And then come up with a plan, come back to the community with options. And then if you have to initiate a 409 process based on that, that's how you do it. What could be wrong with that? And certainly I know that my colleague from Lancaster, my colleague from St. John East, they're both in agreement with me on this. And I do have one challenge to the District Education Council today. Put the brakes on this process today. Now that we're through this first phase, let's put the brakes on it. We've got considerable community feedback, and most of it is suggesting that we need to have a more inclusive community engagement process that allows us to build a roadmap that's designed on the needs of our community. So that if we are making investments, they're investments that have a plan behind them, a community plan that continues regardless of which political party might be in power at any time. That's what we're asking for today. And my challenge is to the District Education Council to do just that, and that we will work with the community and with them to make that work. And I would ask the Minister of Education to help us in that initiative as well. So, Madam Speaker, today my message, I think, is pretty simple. We have an opportunity to start taking the negative partisanship out of this room, to put the positive partisanship to work, to be proud of where we come from, to be proud of the political banner that we run under, but work together. Work together, because I believe that if we do, that our best days as a province, Madam Speaker, are still yet to come. Thank you.